Well, it's not too old to say welcome again to the Vintage Talk Show. We have the full crew here. Uh, my co-host is here, Tokumbo Jekunle, our analyst is here, Alex Ogundadegbe, and our legal expert is in the house, Bosun Osifowora. Good morning, Bosun.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, everyone. Good to be here.
Thank you for joining us. We are on headline stories, top headlines of major newspapers in Nigeria. We will start with Daily Trust. We've had a full week. I'm sure everyone politically aware or politically disposed know the tectonic explosion from the Supreme Court a couple of days ago. We'll see what our newspapers still have to say about that and other issues. Let's start with Daily Trust. Daily Trust says, the lead says investigation. Nigerian security forces deployed for peace accused of extortion, harassment. Peacekeeping security forces are alleged to be extorting and be harassing. Let me read some of the riders. Soldiers maltreating us. Benue headers, farmers lament. Police compromise standard in Taraba, Kaduna. Then army police deny allegations. Well, you don't expect them to admit it, but he who feels it knows it. Please, security forces, focus on peace that you are deployed to do, and not on your pocket. It would be nice if your people, your citizens, you are paid to protect, speak well of you. Because when people speak well of you, then it will be well with you at the end of the day. But when they speak ill of you, because of the extortionate and wicked ways you are dealing with them, it won't end well with you. It is not cause, it's a natural flow of justice. You know, Abby, did I say it well?
you got the message out.
Okay. The sub story. We've done a lot of Israeli Hamas. I don't want to go back into it. I don't want to start feeling bad all over again. So we are going to leave the trust and his Hamas problem, and let's move on. To leadership weekend. It says the main story is how ECOWAS plan to reinstate Bazoum unraveled. As diplomacy fails, defense headquarters washes hands off standby force, and then sanctions collapse as border communities resort to smuggling. This newspaper just assume that we know who's Bazoum. Bazoum, is it the one in? It's not Niger.
Niger.
Okay, they don't assume.
Niger, I'm sure.
So this is why I just assume. I mean, there have been many coups now. There's Niger, there's Gabon, there's Chad, there's Burkina Faso. You know, they just got mad with them. It's like it's the fashion in the sub-region. Very sad. Very sad. What again? $10 splashes 750 million on Augustine University students. That's nice. If it's not good. Just as nice as I read about Bukola Saraki's foundation paying off the old bill for Mr. Ibu treatment in the hospital. I heard I did that. Many have stood up to help, including some of the top flight musicians. I hope the man gets the treatment he needs. This leadership weekend is not leading today very well. Let me look for another. Let's go to Tribune. Tribune says Nigeria's judiciary stinks. Retiring Supreme Court justice explodes. But you don't hear people. There's a quote. The public perception of the judiciary have over the years how did I write English like this? Over the years become witheringly scornful and monstrously critical. In some quarters, the view is strongly held that filth and intrigues characterize the institution these days. Judges are said to be comfortable in companies they never would have kept in the past. It is being insinuated that some judicial officers even campaign for politicians. It cannot be more demystified. And all these accusations and copious quotation, not a single mention of the person who said this. Tribune.
How could they lead with a story like
It
that?
sounded like an opinion.
It's a major story. You know, judiciary things, retiring just, what is the name of the retiring judge? They forgot to add it. Hey, shame on Tribune. Let's see if I don't want to even read them again. Okay, let's just read this one.
It's Justice Datijo.
Justice
Datijo Mohammed.
Okay, so you know. Thank God though, Tribune, we have a Tribune.
I've seen it.
We have Bosun is better than Tribune this morning, though. Okay, so that was from Justice Datijo Mohammed, you said, or Abdullah? Mohammed.
Datijo Mohammed.
Okay. I don't want to go into the street fight of justices. So I'm sure Bosun is also very reluctant to get involved. You can see he only offered us the name and nothing else. You know, very smart lawyer. It's not like journalists that will just talk anyhow. You know, he's very circumspect. I appreciate that, and I will not push it. Second story here that we may do before we leave. Kogi Imo Bayelsa governor polls. Tinubu has no favored candidate. That's Ribadu, NSA. Well, tell it to the dogs. Nobody believes politicians when they say that. Anyway. Saturday Vanguard says judiciary now something else. Okay, this one is more. Yeah, this is how to say it. The picture is there. The face is there. It says, let me say, okay. Judiciary now something else. Retiring Supreme Court Justice. Well, it's when he's retired that he can talk. It's a false composition of Supreme Court panel that heard Atiku Obi's appeals. Oh, he was not involved. Okay. The judiciary I'm exiting from is far from the one I joined and desired. Frowns at absolute powers vested in the office of the CGN, calls for reform. He is a blunt judicial officer, even to a fault. That's the CGN talking about him. Perhaps you didn't know that he was firing salvos at him. Once again, Bosun would rather keep quiet, and we will not want to go further.
No. I would like to say something.
So is Datijo correct?
Not 100%.
Well, I don't know why you are giving percentage. They are not in the Supreme Court.
There's actually cause for concern.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I saw a news that the judges who were appointed in Kogi State, like I think about 17 judges were appointed, and they said some of them had never practiced before. There's an infiltration into the judicial system by politicians. And once you begin to have that, you start nominating and bringing in their preferred candidates.
Bosun, sorry to interject.
For such positions.
Bosun, sorry to interject. Is that even possible? That you have not served and you are put on the bench? Is it even possible? I mean, structurally.
It's not supposed to be. But these days, you find out that some people are not fully into legal practice. They do some other things, and at the end of the day, maybe because of certain connects, they are co-opted into the fray. And before you know it, they will pass. The requirement is you have to be 10 years at post-call before you become a judge, a high court judge. So once you have met that criteria, then the other one somehow gets added for you, and then they push you there. Now, somebody who is pushed into the bench through that kind of
arrangement,
plot and arrangement will definitely dance to the tune. I mean, it's a common thing that he who pays the piper calls the tune. So that's what you have. So, but that is not enough to paint the entire judiciary. There are astute judges. There are great legal minds on the bench who are working daily to make sure that
we have repeated examples of this happening. You mentioned Kogi. I could give you an example of Rivers. We all know what's been going on there. We've had governors whose wives are justices. The former governor of Rivers State and the one who was before him. Yeah. There's the trend being created. And you find that these judges end up being on the panels of political cases. I think we really have a problem on our hands.
Well, that's why the letter justice is saying that the kind of judiciary they look forward into getting into, it's almost different from what we have now. Back in the day, you never had things like that. Even we, in our own small gatherings, we complain. You get to court these days, a judge will sit at 10, 11. Gone are the days when you'll be hurrying with everything you have just to get into court before 9. You know you're not there by 9. It's as good as you never came to court. There's a shift in discipline and a whole lot of things are creeping in. We can't lie to ourselves. We have to say the truth. But that does not take away the fact that some people are excellent at what they do. In fact, let me now shock you. These infractions are very, very marginal. But somehow it has a way of defining. Yeah. If people have a way of using it to define the entire thing, which is not correct. But at the same time, the fact is that, I mean, nobody ever thought about the day where a judge will be found, supporting politicians, dancing and mingling. Judges are almost like deities. That was what we grew up to know about this profession. But now the perception is dwindling.
Yeah, and
something has to be done.
I'm afraid of that perception because there's a feeling among the common men in this country now that the judiciary cannot be his last resort for justice.
That's tragic. That's tragic if you do not trust your judiciary any longer. But
that means
it's unfair.
Will resort to self-help.
Yeah, they will. It's unfair. Perception is unfair to perceive. Use one stick to tar everyone. But that's how human nature is. You go to America, they say, "Are you a Nigerian?" They say, "Yes." Because 1419 came by a week ago, then you are also a possible 419. That's how it is. You look at America and it comes in and shouting, they are always loud and all that because of one mighty ego or what have you. So you have a lot of work in your industry, just like us in our industry. It's everywhere. I don't know who will help this country, but let's move on.
There's a collapse, the general collapse of the grid.
It's terrible. It's terrible. I want to mention 2 or 3 stories on Vanguard because it's quite interesting. This one says this is also a fallout from the Supreme Court judgment. It says courts have spoken. Let's come together to move Nigeria forward. Federal government appeals to Nigerians. Yes, now, that's the only thing you can say now. It's in your favor, so let's move forward. But really, after Supreme Court, where do you want to go?
That brings me to the issue I raised when we were off there about the rule of substantial compliance. When you go through the judgment, you have some reservations about some of the issues, the way they were resolved. Are we saying we cannot give the judgment in favor of one party and yet still blame him for some limitations in some areas?
Well, I think it's insinuated when they said this should have been done in 180. They know it's a very serious indictment, but they think that it should have been done at a particular time, and they are constrained by time. But I'm constrained also to go on a short break.